very good morning, dear students. So, the next unit number 5, we are going to discuss another most important types of biomolecule, that is nucleic acids. And as you all know, these are the hereditary factor of the organism, and this has got the so much role in the every organism's life, and this is the starting point of protein synthesis, and the proteins are produced from the DNA. And this particular concept we are going to discuss in this unit, and this unit mainly deals with the biochemistry aspects of nucleic acid, especially their chemistry aspects of the nucleic acids. And the first topic mentioned in your syllabus, nucleic acids, components and their organization. So we are going to discuss very briefly about the components and the organization of nucleic acids. And nucleic acids are the molecular repositories of genetic information, which are jointly referred to as the molecule of heredity, and these are the hereditary material of all the organisms. And the structure of every protein, as I said in the beginning, and every cell constituent is a product of information programmed into the nucleotide sequence of the cell's nucleic acids. And there are two types of nucleic acids commonly present. One is DNA, next one is RNA. And the DNA is the most abundant molecule, and they are the most important types of genetic material in most of the organism. And the RNA are the hereditary factor of some of the viruses. And this DNA is denoted as deoxyribonucleic acids, and RNA is ribonucleic acids. Both these components are acidic in nature. Then before we are going to discuss the constituents of this nucleic acid, we should know some basic concepts about the historical perspective of the discovery of nucleic acids as the genetic material. This history was started by a very great younger Swedish scientist called Frederick Miescher, and he isolated this acid-like component that is rich in phosphate from WBC, and he named this component as nuclein. And later the term nucleic acid is coined by another scientist called Altman. And after some years, Dr. P.A. Levin, he identified, based on the types of the nucleic acids, there are two types of nucleic acids are commonly present. One is deoxyribonucleic acid, next one is ribonucleic acid. Then lot of studies scientific community started doing, and one of the major milestone are one study called conducted by three scientists, Oswald Avre, Colin MacLeod and McLean McCarthy. They have studied, they have done lot of experiments in the T4 bacteriophage, and they demonstrate that DNA is the hereditary material of the organism. So that is transforming from one cell to another. And later, two scientists, that is Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase, they confirmed the transforming material is DNA, which are the genetic material of most of their organism by a famous Hershey and Chase experiment. And later, Matthew Michelson and Franklin Shaw, okay, they identified the nucleic acid is the major form of a genetic material, okay, by using Michelson and a Shaw experiment. And later, the four scientists, okay, one is Maurice Wilkin, and there is a lady called Rosalind Franklin, okay, and they were started the X-ray crystallographic studies. In fact, uh, Dr. Rosalind Franklin was the person who started the study, and Maurice Wilkin continued, and they could see the X-ray crystallographic patterns of DNA. Later in 1953, Dr. James Davis Watson and Francis Harry Compton Crick, okay, simply Watson and Crick, they constructed the double helical model of the DNA molecule, okay. For this particular molecule, this particular study, James Watson, Francis Crick and Maurice Wilkin were awarded the prestigious Nobel Prize, but unfortunately Rosalind Franklin was no more, and she passed away. And this is the brief historical perspective of nucleic acid. Now we are going to see what are the major components of nucleic acids. Then the overview, as you can see in this slide, this is the overview of the structural component of nucleic acid that we supposed to discuss in biochemistry. So the nucleic acid, both DNA and RNA, are long chain polymers. They are long chain polynucleotides. They have so many nucleotides, and each nucleotide comprises of the monomer known as nucleotides. And this nucleotides is consist of two major components, one nucleoside and next one is phosphoric acid. And this nucleoside can classified into it consisting of two molecules, a sugar and a nitrogenous base. And this sugar, depending upon the nature of nucleic acid, there are two types. One is ribose, that is commonly present in RNA. Next one is deoxyribose, that is commonly present in DNA. And this nitrogenous base are again classified into two groups. One is purines, another one is pyrimidines. The purines are their adenine and guanine, and pyrimidines are three types: thymine, cytosine and uracil. Okay. So these are the overview of the nucleic acid structure. Now we are going to discuss in detail about the structural biology aspects of each and every component. The first one, nucleotides. So nucleotides are energy rich components that drive the metabolic process, especially the biosynthetic processes in all the cell, and they serve as the chemical signals, and they involve in the cellular system that responds to hormones and other extracellular stimulus, and they also involved in the structural components of a number of biomolecules like enzymes, cofactor and metabolic intermediate. And this nucleotide plays a very vital role in the biological system. And this nucleotide, as I mentioned previously, comprises of a nucleoside and a phosphoric acid. And what is a nucleoside? This is the building blocks of a nucleotide that comprises of the pentose sugar and nitrogenous base. So in fact, nucleotide comprises of three components. One is phosphoric acid, next one is pentose sugar, next one is nitrogenous base. So this is a general structure of a nucleotide. Here you can say nitrogenous base is attached to a sugar, and there is a linkage known as glycoside linkage, okay, and the linkage between the sugar and the nitrogenous base is known as glycosidic linkage, and this sugar is connected with the phosphate by a major very strong bond called a phosphodiester bond. So that is why I told you this nitrogenous base connected to a sugar by a glycosidic linkage, and the phosphate is connected to a sugar by phosphodiester bond. This is the general structure of a nucleotide. It consisting of a nitrogenous base and a sugar and a phosphate group. Then now we are going to discuss the phosphoric acid. This is one of the important components of DNA. Why DNA are the negative charge? The answer is the presence of phosphoric acid. The molecular formula of phosphoric acid is H3PO4. Okay, it contains the phosphorus is the central metal atom, and there are 3 hydroxyl group, and 1 oxygen is done with a divalent nature they are shared. Okay, and here you can see POH, 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 and P double bond O. Okay, so that is known as H3PO4. Okay, so that is known as phosphoric acid. And why DNA is a negative charge? When you know that once this bond is shifted to this particular direction, this will be having the negative charge, and they can give the proton, they can produce a proton, and they can also produce the proton. And there you can see a negatively charged centers throughout the phosphate atom. So that is why the phosphoric acid is that is DNA is negatively charged, because the phosphate projected outwards to the in the sugar phosphate backbone. Then the next one is pentose sugar. The pentose sugars are 2 types. That is a 5 carbon component that is commonly present in the nucleic acid. Okay, the pentose sugar present in the DNA are known as deoxyribose, and the pentose sugar present in RNA is known as a ribose sugar. And both the sugars are in the furanose form, and they are in the beta configuration. And this D-ribose is the parent sugar, and while deoxyribose is the derivative of this D-ribose. Okay, and in the second position of the carbon atom, okay, this hydroxyl group is replaced by a hydrogen. Okay, and the pentose sugar is either in their aldehyde form, that is straight chain, or in the keto form, or closed 5-membered ring, or a furanose form. Okay, and the pentose sugar is not planar. Although we can see there is a plane, this is not planar, and they are arranged in a different conformation, and this conformational change that is exhibited by the pentose ring skeleton is known as ribose puckering. Okay, ribose puckering. So here you can see D-ribose. Here you can see oxygen, carbon number 1, 2, 3, and 4, HOH, 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 and HCH2OH. Okay, this is D-ribose, or this is beta because the hydroxyl group is here, and beta D-ribofuranose. And what is the difference between a D-ribose and deoxyribose? Here in the case of D-ribose, here you can see the hydroxyl group. But in the case of deoxyribose, the oxygen is deoxy. That oxygen is not there. Instead of hydroxyl group, there is a hydrogen. Okay, here is hydrogen, and here is also hydrogen. Okay, so that is beta D2 deoxyribofuranose. Okay, and all other things are the same, and that is the structure of a pentose sugar. Then next one is the nitrogenous base. There are 2 types of nitrogenous base found in all the organism. Okay, and this base is linked to a sugar moiety, as I said, by a phosphodiester linkage. Okay, and in carbon number 1, and a sugar bond will be produced. And the nitrogenous bases there are 2 types. One is pyrimidines, another one is purines. And these components are as you can see, a planar molecule. Okay, and why this is planar? Based on their pi electrons cloud. Okay, based on the pi electron cloud, these particular molecules are planar in nature. And the next one is the pyrimidine derivatives. First we are going to discuss pyrimidine derivatives. So the pyrimidine derivatives are, their parent component is a heterocyclic components, that is pyrimidines. Okay, which consisting of a 6-membered ring with the 2 nitrogen atom and 3 double bonds. Okay, here you can see the basic skeleton. Carbon number 1, instead of carbon number 1 there is nitrogen, carbon number 2, instead of carbon number 3 there is a nitrogen. Okay, there is nitrogen, and here 1, this is 2, 3 and 4, this is the fifth one, and there is a sixth one. Okay, this is pyrimidine residues. Okay, and it has a melting point of approximately 22 degrees centigrade and the boiling point of 123.5 degree centigrade. Okay, and these pyrimidine derivatives are three types. One is uracil, thiamine and cytosine. So this is very simple to study. Okay, this is the structure of uracil, this structure of thiamine and this structure of cytosine. So please look, dear students, first you write the basic skeleton of this pyrimidine. Just you write the basic skeleton of this pyrimidine. And in the case of uracil, position number 2 and position number 4, there are 2 oxygen. Okay, 2 oxygen. Okay, and that is nothing but the uracil. Now here you can see double bond, double bond, double bond. When you remove the double bond, alternatively you can add a hydrogen here and here in order to fulfill the valency of nitrogen. Okay, then thiamine, first you draw uracil the same way. Okay, and in the right hand side, that is the fifth position, just you add the methyl group. Okay, so thus this mean your thiamine is known as 5-methyl uracil. Fifth position, there is a methyl group is added. Okay, 5-methyl uracil. Then in the case of cytosine, here you can see, just you draw the basic skeleton of pyrimidine, and in position number 2 there is a oxygen, the same thing here. But in position number 4, here it is oxygen, but here it is an amino group. Okay, so there is an amino group. Hence it is known as aminopyrimidone. Okay, so aminopyrimidone. So these are the basic structural difference. So in the case of uracil, position number 2 and 4 there is oxygen. In the case of thiamine, position number 2 and 4 is oxygen and 5 is methyl group. And in cytosine, position number 2 is an oxygen, position number 4 is an amino group. Okay, so that is the structure of uracil, thiamine and cytosine. Now we are going to study some their biochemistry, the physical properties. Uracil, its common pyrimidine derivatives. Okay, so that is uracil. The common pyrimidine derivatives are uracil, thiamine and cytosine, as you all know. In the case of uracil, the molecular formula is C4H4O2N2. Okay, and it is found in RNA. It will not be present in DNA. Okay, instead of uracil, in the case of DNA, that is thiamine. Okay, it's a white crystalline powder with a molecular weight of 112.1 Dalton, 112.1 Dalton, and the melting point is 338 degrees centigrade. And it has 2 oxygen atom at a C2 and a C4 of the pyrimidine. So that is what I have shown in the structure here. Okay, C2 and C4, there is 2 oxygen atom. The next one is thiamine. Its molecular formula is C5H6O2N2. And why it is known as thiamine? Because it is first isolated from the thymus gland. Okay, hence it is known as a thiamine. And this is commonly present in DNA instead of uracil in RNA, and the molecular weight is 126.13 Dalton, and it is a thiamine is present at the C5 region, and thus it is known as a remaining structure is exactly uracil, thus it is known as the 5-methyl uracil. Okay, thiamine. Then this is one of the most important component, and there is a common mutation that is happening in the case of in the DNA. When the DNA is undergoing the activity of ultraviolet rays, okay, then what will happen? The adenine will be converted into thiamine, and there is a formation of thiamine bonds will be taking place. Okay, and there is a formation of thiamine dimer will be taking place that will create a nick in the DNA molecule and that disturb the normal function. So this is the impact of UV light in DNA. When the UV light penetrate absorb the DNA double strand. Okay, the DNA double strand will happen. It will absorb the DNA, and there is the formation of thiamine dimer, and that will be a nick will be produced in the DNA molecule that disturb the normal function of the DNA. Then cytosine, its molecular formula is C5H6ON3. It is commonly present in both DNA and RNA. It is also white crystalline substance with a molecular weight approximately 11.12 Dalton, and the melting point is 320 to 325 degree centigrade. It's a very high melting point component. Okay, as we have discussed in the case of cytosine, it C4 atom contain an amino group and C2 atom contain an oxygen group. Okay, so this is what the C4 contain an amino group and C2 contain an oxygen group. Okay, so this is the structure of a cytosine. Then comes a purine derivatives. Okay, so purine there are also derived from the parent component called purine. And what is this purine? Pyrimidine is a single 6-membered ring molecule, but in the case of purine, it is a 6-membered pyrimidine ring that is fused with a 5-membered ring called imidazole ring. Okay, so here you can see a structure of pyrimidine as such. The pyrimidine ring, nitrogen, the first and third position, okay, and the pyrimidine ring is fused with an imidazole ring. In the imidazole means there is a 5-membered ring in which carbon, the 7th position of the carbon there is a nitrogen, and the 9th position also there is a nitrogen. In the purine there are total 4 nitrogen atoms, and the purine is very, very important and a significant role in the biochemical pathways. Okay, because purine it contains an important molecule such as adenosine triphosphate ATP, then guanosine triphosphate GTP, and cyclic AMP, okay, cyclic adenosine monophosphate, okay, then NADH, nicotinamide adenine dihydroxide, okay, and coenzyme A. And the most important purines are adenine and guanine. Okay, these are the most important types of purine. And here you can see the structure of purine is very simple. First you write the parental structure, the purine structure. Okay, there is an imidazole 5-membered ring and a 6-membered pyrimidine ring. And here you can see what is adenine. This particular structure, okay, this structure, the 6th position, just you add an amino group. Okay, so that is adenine or 6-amino purine. Okay, 6-amino purine. Then what is guanine? It's very simple. In the 6th position there is an oxygen, and in the 2nd position there is a amino group. Okay, the 6th in the case of purine is opposite to cytosine. Okay, in the case of cytosine there is amino group and there is a oxygen. Okay, but here in the case of guanine, this is oxygen and here it is an amino group. Okay, that is known as purine derivative. And some features of purine, this is very, very important in cellular respiration in the form of both energy rich adenosine triphosphate and ATP, and the cofactor, okay, that is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide and flavin adenine dinucleotide, and the protein synthesis is very, very important, and the chemical component of DNA and RNA are commonly present. And the molecular formula is C5H5N5, okay, C5H5N5, and it is present in both the DNA and RNA. And it is a white crystalline powder, and the molecular weight is 135.15 Dalton, and the melting point is 360 to 365 degrees centigrade. And the structure of adenine, as I said, it consisting of a C6 portion which comprises of an amino group. Okay, the 6th portion of the carbon atom that comprises of an amino group. The remaining things are the same. The imidazole ring here and pyrimidine ring here. And next one is guanine. Okay, and the molecular formula of guanine is not adenine, it is a guanine. Okay, that is C5H5ONA. Okay, the molecular formula of guanine C5H5ONA, and is present in both the DNA and RNA. Okay, DNA and RNA. It is a colorless, insoluble, crystalline substances with a molecular weight 151.15 Dalton. Why it is known as guanine? It was isolated, from the one excreta of a seabird called guar. Okay, that is a bird manure. Okay, hence it is known as a guanine. That is excreted from the fecal material of a seabird, that is known as guano, and that is why it is known as guanine. Okay, and the pyrimidine part of the guanine consists of an amino group at the C second position, and the oxygen group at the C6 position. Okay, and here you can see the sixth position there is an oxygen, and the second position there is an amino group. Okay, and please make a note of it. Please, this is not adenine. The typographical error is extremely deeply regretted. Okay, this is guanine. Okay, the molecular formula of guanine. And the next one is, whatever we have been discussing, that was the major nitrogenous bases. Okay, so that is known as the major or a regular nitrogenous base. But there are some minor nitrogenous bases are also present in the case of nucleic acids. That is known as a modified or a minor nitrogenous base, and which are obtained from the major nitrogenous base. Okay, and they are commonly present in some structures of the nucleic acid. Okay, and here we can see something called as, this is not actual pyrimidine. That is a pyrimidine derivative. Here it is known as a 5,6-dihydrouracil. This is a minor base. Uracil is a major base, but dihydroxyuracil, that is that is a minor base. Similarly, next one is known as, here one NH, here one NH, and here is hydroxyl. Instead of this one, there is an oxygen group, 2 oxygen group, that is known as pseudouracil. Okay, the next one is for thiouracil. Here it is a sulfur. Okay, position number 4, there is a sulfur, this is an oxygen, there is a nitrogen. Okay, this is known as thiouracil. The next one is here you can see 5-methyl cytosine. Okay, here this is a cytosine, as you all know. The fifth position there is a methyl group, 5-methyl cytosine. Then next one is 5-hydroxymethyl cytosine. Okay, here you can see instead of one hydrogen there is a hydroxyl group is attached, that is 5-hydroxymethyl cytosine. Okay, so these are commonly present in some nucleic acid like RNA. Okay, so that is why it is known as a minor. They are very rarely present. That is not normal nitrogenous base. Okay, so that is all about a modified nitrogenous base. Then one of the important properties of nitrogenous base, that is known as tautomerism. Okay, so this tautomerism is an isomeric shift, okay, from one form to another form. It is obtained from a Greek word called tauto, means same, and meros means part. Okay, Greek word tauto, in Greek that is same, meros that is part. Okay, that is the compound that exist in two structural isomeric form which are mutually interconvertible and they can exist in equilibrium. Such a type of components are known as tautomers, and this process or phenomenon is known as a tautomerism. Generally, the aldehyde, ketone and other carbonyl components such as esters exhibit the tautomerism. Okay, and what is this tautomerism? That is the wandering tendency of a hydrogen atom. Okay, the wandering tendency of a hydrogen atom which involves the migration of a proton from an alpha carbon to carbonyl oxygen by the following mechanism. Okay, so this is the alpha carbon atom. From this alpha carbon atom, the hydrogen is migrated towards this carbonyl oxygen. Okay, this is carbonyl, C double bond O. So what will happen? This hydrogen will migrate and break and it will move towards this oxygen, and due to that particular reaction this will comes that is hydroxyl group. Okay, and then once H is here, then this bond will shift to this direction, then you can see C double bond C. Okay, and if there is an C double bond O here, that is known as keto form or lactam form. Okay, and due to this migration, what will happen? This hydrogen, the proton will be migrated towards the oxygen. Okay, and that is known as this is known as C double bond OH, C double bond C, and that is known as that is C bond OH, that is known as enol form or a lacting form, and this carbon atom is known as alpha carbon atom, and this process is known as a keto-enol tautomerism or lactam-lactim tautomerism. Okay, so that is what the things. Okay, the tautomers contains the carbonyl groups. Okay, carbonyl groups. If the tautomers contains the carbonyl group, that is known as keto form or lactam form, and if the tautomers consisting of a hydroxyl group or hydroxyl group OH group that is attached to the doubly bonded carbon atom is known as enol form or a lactim form. Okay, as I have showed. Okay, the C double bond O, this is known as keto or lactam form. Then C single bond OH. Okay, due to this migration, this bond will shift to here. Okay, so that is known as a enol form or a lacting form. Okay, and this shift is known as keto-enol tautomerism or a lactam-lactim tautomerism. So what is very, very important here? All the nitrogenous bases, they can exist due to this shift. They can exist in the keto form or lactam form and the enol form or a lactim form. Okay, the uracil, this is structure of uracil. Here you can see C double bond O. Obviously you can see that is keto form or a lactam form. Okay, and here you can see this the bond will be shifted to this direction. Then what will happen? H will come here. Okay, so that is known as the enol or lactam form. Both the structures are same. Then here you can see 3 bonds, but here what is happening? This the shifting of the bond will take place. Similarly, cytosine. Here you can see position number 2. There is a C double bond O, that is a keto form or lactam form, and here you can see this bond shifted to this direction. Then H will be attached here. That is the enol or lactim form. Then the case of guanine, here in the position number 6 you can see C double bond O. This is a keto or lactam form, and here you can see then the bond is shifted to this direction. This here become double bond. Okay, and this hydrogen will come here. Okay, that is known as a enol form or a lactim form. So this process is known as keto-enol tautomerism. This is commonly present in all the nitrogenous base. And so whatever we have discussed the components and how it is present in DNA and RNA. Okay, so this is the component. This is acid, both the ribonucleic acid and deoxyribonucleic acid, the phosphoric acid. Okay, the phosphoric acid is common. In the case of pentose sugar, in the case of ribonucleic acid, the RNA, this is D-ribose. But in the case of DNA, this is deoxyribose. And in the case of nitrogenous base, if it is purine, both the DNA and RNA has adenine, guanine, and but pyrimidine, in the case of RNA, it has cytosine and uracil, and that is in the DNA, it is a cytosine and thymine. Okay, so these are the structural components that is commonly present in the DNA. So this is all about the structural component and the introductory concept of this particular unit. So once again we can recollect the main concept studied in this particular class. So we can conclude. So we have discussed the introduction about nucleic acids, the historical perspective, the contribution of various scientists. Okay, and the components of nucleic acids. Okay, nucleic acids are polynucleotides that has a nucleosides and phosphate group. The nucleoside consisting of a sugar and nitrogenous base. The sugar, there are 2 types, ribose and deoxyribose. Nitrogenous bases are 2 types. Okay, purines and pyrimidines. Purines are 2 types, adenine and guanine. Pyrimidines are 3 types, thymine, uracil, and cytosine. Then we have discussed the detailed aspect of nucleotide. Okay, the structures. Then we have discussed phosphoric acid. Why DNA is typically negatively charged, the presence of phosphoric acid. Then the pentose sugar, both ribose and deoxyribose, and their conformational change. Okay, that is very, very important. That is known as ribose puckering. Then the nitrogenous base. Okay, we have discussed both purines and pyrimidines. Okay, adenine and guanine, cytosine, and uracil and thymine. That is pyrimidine derivatives. Pyrimidine derivatives are cytosine, thymine, and uracil. And purine derivatives are adenine and guanine. Then the modified nitrogenous bases we have discussed, 5-hydrouracil, pseudouridine, all those such kind of things. Okay, then we have discussed the tautomerism exhibited in nitrogenous base. Okay, that is known as ketoenol tautomerism or lactam-lactim tautomerism. Then we have discussed the structural components of RNA and DNA. So this is all the concept, dear students. So these are the major textbook, especially Principles of Biochemistry by Leninger is the major textbook, and you can refer Biochemistry by J.L. Jain. Okay, that is one of the good textbook. It has given in similar form. Okay, and in your this one you can see Biochemistry by Satyanarayana and Chakravani. Okay, so this one also is good, and all other textbooks are also really good. So thank you very much, dear students, for watching. If you are having any clarification, you can ask me. Okay, thank you very much.